Hello and welcome to the Heresy Lodge. I am your host, Dylan Cooper, the constant host over here.
Gavin Franklin.
And for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, as we are starting season 2 of the Lodge. Season 1 was all Warhammer, specifically the Horus Heresy,
3-year
then the
season.
Siege of Terra. And a lot of us hating our fucking lives. It got a little intense. And by intense, I meant really depressing. So we're getting out of the funk. We're saying, fuck that. Let's read some things that we're gonna enjoy, branch out a little bit, and have a good time. So that's what we're doing now.
Yeah.
Eventually, I might do Warhammer again.
Yeah, at some point, I'm sure we'll revisit a book or two. We took a little bit of time off, been off for a month. What have you been up to this month?
I was reading the Inner Game books. I have one left, which I will eventually have to get back to. The first two were really good. Third one disappointed me. It got real weird. Real weird.
Yeah.
Like,
Sci-fi does that sometimes. Like a little sexual weirdness.
I'm pretty sure these books are about like the author like going through his own like religious turmoil, and you feel it in the third book a lot.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I can get rough.
Yeah. It gets real weird. Like at one point, like the main character, this is the part where I was like, what the fuck is happening? So spoiler alert for what's the name of the third book? Xenocide. Ender has this like AI that is like super special to him. And together they teleported out of our universe into a different universe by using their minds and thinking they could do it. And in that universe, he respawned his sister at like 17 years old. And apparently she's just super fucking hot. And his brother, who was a psychopath. And it's fucking weird.
That is a little strange. That's
Yeah.
a weird jump.
And then I was like, yeah, I'm gonna read The Hobbit now.
I've been reading Harry Potter. I've never read Harry Potter before, so I've been excited to move out of Warhammer and say, okay, like what are some of the books that I've never read that I want to tackle? And Harry Potter was one of them. I feel like if you're gonna be a fantasy person, it's worth one read through of Harry Potter. I made it through the Goblet of Fire, and I think it's been good so far. I like the way J.K. Rowling writes. I think it's a very childish book for sure. Um, and there's definitely like every single book follows the same sequence.
Yeah.
You know? But I'm excited because Goblet of Fire kind of ends with, the return of Voldemort. Spoiler alert for if you don't know.
That is like the fourth book is kind of like when shit like starts happening.
Yeah. And it's a huge book. And then Order of the Phoenix is the largest book in the series, and I saw that and I was like, holy shit, this thing is massive. So it might be a little bit of time before I get back to Harry Potter and finish the last three. But yeah, you got a little bit of a head start on The Hobbit before I did. You're almost done. I'm about halfway through.
Yeah, I got about 50 pages left of a 200-page book.
Nice. Mine is kind of interesting. I bought I like to buy physical books. I'm a bit of a sucker for that. I'll tell you a story about this book.
Oh no.
I bought the like special edition version, and it comes with a bunch of illustrations and like forewords from Tolkien's son, who talks about like all the illustrations and like his thoughts on the book and everything. So I've read a portion of that, but I bought this book, and I remember, I don't know if anyone's in the Discord, but remembers this, but I would link a video at one point about some dude smoking a pipe and reading Tolkien. I was like, I wouldn't mind smoking a cigar and reading some Tolkien. I don't smoke. Like I think I've smoked like 3 cigars in my entire life, and at some points. Um, But I went to the local like smoke shop, got a cigar. I was sitting outside. I read probably 100 pages, and it was great.
So you read half the book.
Yeah, I read half the book in a day basically, and then like immediately, well, not immediately. I mean, it took all day. At the very end, got real sick.
Yeah, cigars fuck me up.
It fucked me up, and I was just out for the whole night. I got like basically just cigar sickness all the whole night, and I was like, I think I'll pass from the pipe and cigar smoking that they do in the
Yeah, the
hobby.
last time I smoked a cigar was right before a Corn concert. It was Corn and Alice in Chains, and I like felt like shit standing at Ruoff.
Yeah, not a fun time, that's for
Oh,
sure. But it's been an experience. I also dropped the book in water. It's like collector's edition book. The first day I was reading it, it was so frustrating. But
it's all right. I was flying back from Dallas today, and I was reading it on my Kindle,
mhm.
and I just fucking fell asleep, and I dropped my Kindle and scared the fuck out of myself on the plane.
Nice, nice. What are you drinking? That's one thing about the podcast that's not going to change. We're going to keep drinking,
Yeah, I mean that's why we started the podcast, was just so we could drink more.
pretty much.
So I am drinking from War Pigs Brewing, the Foggy Geezer, which they have really cool artwork.
I do like War Pigs.
This is good. I'm not an IPA guy, but this is one of those like not super bitter IPAs. It's good. I like it a lot actually.
I wanted to have on the podcast. I just bought a growler of IPA a couple days ago from a place called Beer Brewing. So I'll have to bring that on. They just opened one in Noblesville. I think it might be one of the best IPAs I've had. It's right up there with Gumball Head.
Nice.
But I drank it all. So
Oh shit.
I didn't have any. But what I do have, this is a a gin. Believe it or not, as dark as it is, it's from Haberdash.
Oh,
So
did you get the
it's
barrel aged one?
got the barrel aged gin.
It's
So
good.
it's amazing.
And
Yeah,
I don't
like
like gin.
I was about to say the exact same thing. Like I don't like gin. I've never seen a gin that's barrel aged before.
Yeah.
Um, so I tried this and it's delicious. Almost everything. I think that distillery is like top
It's
notch.
really good. All their stuff's super unique.
Hmm.
Like I really like the Hop Factory whiskey, but all the whiskeys I had that I really like. They have a fuck, what was it called? It's like Kwanja or something.
Yeah.
That
Yep.
was really good.
Yeah. So I'm actually going to be going back there in a couple days. Dylan might join me. So there we go.
I can.
Bring some more alcohol back. That's the important thing when you go to a distillery. And we're
So
going tomorrow to like a big beer festival. So might bring some more stuff back from there. I don't know.
which beer
Possibly
festival is it?
none. It's called Kegs and Eggs. It's like a adult Easter egg hunt slash there's so I was looking at the list and it's supposed to be a beer festival. There's only like 10 breweries there.
Hmm.
But there's like 12 distilleries and 6 wineries. I was like, holy shit, that's gonna be a day. It's like
Yeah, I
5 hours.
know that like Franklin, they're doing some like a 4 day festival for the solar eclipse.
Oh crap, I might be there.
Yeah.
Huh. I'm going down to on the south, I think in Trafalgar somewhere, right where the middle of the line goes through.
Yeah.
So excited for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The world's supposed
Should
to
be good.
end. So
Again?
yeah. Yeah, the eclipse is supposed to be like signal the rapture, I think, this time.
Oh, this time it's the Rapture signaling. That was last time. Well, hey, sounds like a good time to me.
Yeah, I mean, fuck all those people that I don't care about disappearing. Oh no, not Steve from accounting. Dang.
Not Steve. So, The Hobbit. I was so excited to jump into The Hobbit first because like so a little bit of backstory on The Hobbit for those that really aren't familiar. The Hobbit was the first book that really invented what we consider modern day fantasy. So that's the reason it's important. Is it the best book in the world? I don't think so. Like I'm reading it, it's definitely got like some ups and downs. It's 100% another kid's book. Um, but prior to The Hobbit, you didn't have elves and dwarfs in the capacity we think about them, right? There were elves, they were dwarfs, but it was more along the lines of the mythology ages. Like the fantasy prior to this was like Beowulf and all these, I think, kind of darker, less known concepts of fantasy where Tolkien kind of came out and was like, let me create this entire world with wizards and elves and dwarves and hobbits and kings and queens doing crazy stuff. So
I also couldn't believe how old it was.
yeah, it's
It's old.
ancient. So 60s?
Yeah.
No, no, it was 37,
Yeah, but it's
1937.
before World War II.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think Tolkien was specifically in he fought in World War One, right?
I have no idea. I don't know
Hmm.
anything about it. Oh, then he's the
So
godfather of fantasy.
Tolkien was actually in the war. He was in World War One. He did see action too. Like he was on I believe he was on the Western Front uh, during World War One. So um, a
So all those
lot
rich guys, and he's like, "Yeah, hobbits. This makes sense."
of well, I think um a lot of his writings, you can kind of see there's certain like sections and chapters, and particularly in Lord of the Rings, but some in the Hobbit too, where like he's definitely alluding to the war here. Like Sauron and is like this evil being, and the concept is like these groups, the fellowship is the group of people that got together, like the people that were drafted essentially to go in and fight this war and tackle this evil that was trying to take over the land. So
Yeah,
pretty cool there.
yeah. I think before we get into the book, one thing that I don't think I like so far about it is the point of view.
I don't understand the point of view. I
It's
think
very confusing. It's like, all right, I'm Bilbo, but then I'm gonna back out that I'm not Bilbo, and then I'm gonna be like, yeah, so that was like Bilbo's story, and I'm gonna just kind of skip past some things, and then we're gonna do this. It's like, oh, okay,
one of the things, and like he was a big literature. When I say literature, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Like languages. He was big on languages and big on like words and linguistics or whatever it was.
sure,
So it's really uh, so a lot of people would argue that The Hobbit is written by Bilbo conceptually in the world.
yeah,
But I would say like from the way that I'm reading this, it doesn't make a lot of sense because Bilbo is referred to as he multiple times.
yeah,
And it goes and it's strange because the first book I've seen where like it quotes thoughts that characters are having.
mm-hmm,
So like it'll be like something, 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 so and so thought. So
yeah,
like you as the reader get access to like everyone's thoughts and it's like they're talking to you.
yeah.
So I don't know who the author is, who the narrator is. I haven't figured that out yet.
No, it's very confusing, and it's like my only like gripe so far is just that like I never know like who's talking, and it's like randomly like people like make fun of like the songs and stuff. Like I don't really care about that, but like I don't care for the randomly like, and yeah, we're just gonna skip past this, or maybe we'll talk about this later.
Yeah, there's a lot of like aspects in the book where it'll say this will come important this will be important later,
Yeah,
or oh like they may return to this spot at some point, or it talks about like what happens after the journey.
yeah,
um or it'll say something like if only they were thinking this because this is what's really what was happening. So in my opinion that makes sense that it's written that way because it's a kid's book.
yeah,
So like or I think it's geared towards children. Originally, that's how I think Tolkien was trying to do. So like you can imagine reading this out loud to a child, like you want to be able to say, "Oh, and this is going to be important later," or because they need to kind of keep their attention on it and understand what's going around, like on around the
yeah.
main story without having to think about it too much.
Yeah, I think that's fair, actually. And it's not like it's like super like graphic like I imagine the battles like the two towers or Return of the King would be.
Yeah. Do you want to jump into it just one chapter at a time?
Sure. I mean, it's not a very big book.
I also want to talk a little bit about like the comparison to the movies because the movies get a lot of gripe. Now, I'm only halfway done, and I think they did great. I think the movies were great.
Yeah, I need to rewatch the movies because it's been so long. I think it's amazing that they got three movies out of it.
Hmm.
I have a 200-page book.
Well, they definitely added things to the movie.
Yeah.
There's a lot of more conflict in the movies than there are in the book. Like, for instance, like, and we'll kind of break down into the chapters of this, but there's entire sections in the movie that don't exist in the book, like Azog, the pale orc. You remember what I'm talking about? The big pale orc that killed um, Durin's grandfather, or not Durin, Thorin's grandfather, and like gave him like that's where he got the name Oakenshield because he used that oak branch to like block the
Oh yeah.
attack from the orc. He was like the big bad guy throughout the entire
Yeah,
movie.
it was so like I watched them when they came out. I haven't seen them since.
Yeah, so there's this like big bad guy, and he's like chasing them all the way from the beginning. He chases them into Rivendell. He's stalking them. He's doing all of this stuff throughout the movie. It's like he's the one that like finds them when they get out of the goblin caves. None of that exists in the book.
No.
He's not, there's not like some background evil menace. It's literally just a journey. Um, and you see things like that occur a
They
lot.
don't even get like orcs in this book.
Well, there are no orcs
Like,
at the time the Hobbit's written. They're all referred to as goblins, and this is one of the things that Tolkien's son talks about.
oh, interesting.
Yeah, they're referred to as all of them are goblins. So
Hmm.
we'll get into that. I think maybe in the second part when I'm done finishing all of the notes because there's like 45 pages, 45 to 50 pages of notes from that dude. It's absolutely crazy.
Cool.
So an unexpected party. So this is the one where it starts and the whole thing begins with Gandalf and Bilbo exchanging good morning. It's like that famous like opening. And one thing I noticed like right off the bat is Gandalf's character is kind of just a smartass all the time.
Yeah, he is. I don't even know if I like Gandalf.
I don't.
He's kind of a dick. And I maybe he's better in the Lord of the Rings. Maybe
Maybe,
like
but
older age, like chills him out.
I agree with you. Like everything that he says, like he always tries to say something witty. Like it's very clear that like the concept in here, it's almost more like Merlin-esque kind of wizard,
Yeah.
where he's thinking on another level that other people are not, and he has a hard time coming down to other people. And
Yeah.
so he's constantly playing chess with his words. Um, Bilbo says, "Oh, good morning." He's like, "Well, what do you mean? Do you mean to say for me to have a good morning, or that it is a good morning?" And it really comes off present day as a little bit of an asshole.
Yeah, and like it's hard to gauge how powerful he is
Yeah,
because it seems like he's like super OP, but also like not that strong at other
yeah.
times.
Magic in this world is super strange.
Yes.
It's not incredibly well defined, and it seems like Gandalf uses magic to create fireworks, and it talks very specifically about how like his like domain is fire, but you don't see the dude casting fireballs when he's fighting,
Yeah.
uh, and it seems like he does more of like a social magic. He'll mess around with his smoke rings and sometimes he'll do some crazy stuff, but a lot of times it's like, oh, and they used magic to do this, but it doesn't tell you what magic it was or like what it actually did.
Yeah.
So yeah, magic is very strange in this universe, and it kind of just seems like for the first half of this book, especially, Gandalf is kind of the is what is it called, a Vox Mach Deus Machina or whatever it is, the god
Yes.
like the
Yep.
solving character that comes in and just fixes everyone's
Yep.
problems
Always saves the day.
with maybe magic, maybe just smart thinking or whatever it is.
Some random bullshit for sure.
So we get the unexpected party. Gandalf leaves a mark on Bilbo's door, and you get a whole bunch of dwarfs that show up. And one thing
One
that's
by one.
yeah,
And though I really like it because like Bilbo is like trained to be like nice to like people when they come
yes,
over, and he's like getting more and more irritable every time someone else shows up. He's like, "Why the fuck are you guys here? There's some cakes on the table. Okay, just go get some."
it's really well done. I thought this was like a great intro, and one of the things that is very different, I feel like, from the books and the movies is how colorful the books are. Like the dwarves have different colored beards and different colored cloaks, and everything's just very whimsical.
Yes,
And the movies is like everything is serious. And all the beards, some of them are chiseled beards to make them look like attractive dwarfs.
I'm the sexiest dwarf ever.
Exactly. Where like Thorin also has like a long beard that's like blonde. He has like a blonde beard.
Yeah,
So very different there. And
all their names are fucking ridiculous.
yes,
There's like 13 of them, and they're all like, I don't know if like Tolkien just like couldn't come up with like more than one creative name at a time. So he would just like either change a letter or just make it rhyme.
Dory, Nori, Feely, Keely. Um, I mean, I can't name them all. I really
Yeah,
can't.
there's I can't either.
Ballin, not Buzz.
Thorin.
Yeah, Thor. Yeah, there's a lot of them. Um, I think. What's your favorite dwarf? I have a favorite dwarf.
Mine's the fat one.
It's definitely Bomber. Bomber
Yeah.
is 100% the best
He's
dwarf.
just always mad because he's fat and gets left behind.
He's always the last one. Like his weight comes up very often,
It
like kind of a
does.
ridiculous amount throughout the books.
Have you got to the part with the spider stuff yet?
I am on that chapter right now, and I got to the part where like he fell in the river and falls asleep, and everyone's pissed because they have to
Oh man,
carry him.
that shit's when he wakes up, it just makes me laugh.
Oh, that's great. So we get introduced to all the dwarfs, and they basically like one thing that's really different too is in the movies, it seems like Bilbo's trying to make a decision on whether or not to go. But in the book, it's like Gandalf's like, no, it's fucking, we're going. Like it's sold. Like I picked you. You don't get a choice. Like he shows up in
Everyone's
the
in your
morning to
house.
pick him up. I picked your house. I picked you. You're going to fight that fucking dragon, dude.
Which honestly just like makes like no sense to me, like why Bilbo's even like thrown in here.
Yeah. Like,
Like Gandalf doesn't know shit. All right, he's just. I think he was like, "It'll be fucking funny if I threw a Hobbit in with all these fucking dwarves. Oh my god, these fuckers are gonna be pissed."
Gandalf is just here to have a good time. He's
He
like,
is.
you know, it would be so funny to like walk around with all these little people, like a literal person, like just a smaller person than the dwarfs. Oh man, that would just be, I feel like that would be really funny to see like a point of view of Gandalf just fucking around with everybody.
He's like, wait a minute, he's actually fucking useful.
Yeah.
Fuck, I picked the wrong Hobbit.
So they have a meeting there, and Bilbo is torn between his like lineage because
Yeah, there's a whole thing about the lineage of what is the Toths
well, it's the Tukes.
or Tooks. Yeah,
The
Toth
Tukes
is from
and
Avatar.
mhm.
Yeah, the Tooks are adventurous, I guess.
Somewhat adventurous. And
And
so
so, and for
Gandalf,
whatever reason, that's like looked down upon in the Hobbit community. He's just supposed to be a lazy fat piece of shit in the Hobbit community, which, you know what? Maybe being a Hobbit's pretty cool.
It sounds like a good time.
You
Well,
get
that's
like
one.
4 meals by noon.
That's one of the things that I really love about The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, and I loved it in the movies. I don't think it's as prominent in the books, but like every single story you see nowadays, and even the past 20 years, the protagonist in this fantasy story is some sort of unique person that doesn't relate with regular people in the world, and their life is miserable, like Harry Potter in the cupboard, or they're almost always orphans, something result of like
Oh,
a war or something crazy. And then the fantasy element comes along and saves them from their miserable
they're
everyday.
great. Their parents were actually like gods, and then they become God randomly. Like, oh, all right. Bilbo's like, bro, like, what the fuck is happening? I just want some goddamn rice cakes.
Exactly. Like
We
I
are at 9 a.m. and we skipped first breakfast. We're fucking skipping second breakfast again. This is bullshit.
Yeah. And I like that form of writing better because the concept is like Bilbo's happy at home, like his life is comfortable, and then this adventure makes him very uncomfortable. And I
Yep.
think that is like way more often how it would happen in real life. Like if you told me like, hey, you got to go to Europe to fight a dragon, I'd be like, well, that fucking sucks. I don't want to do that. I'm not gonna be like, whoa, that sounds awesome. Like I want to be at home. I want to be working on this or doing this. Like I have plans. So
Yeah, and like the other thing too with him is just like he he really grows as a character because he's like had like he's been his life has been saved by these dwarves, and like it comes to a point where he has to save their lives, and he's like, I could leave, or I save the people who I've been with for the last almost year.
yeah,
It's cool seeing
exactly.
the character development of someone who's just like, look, I ain't that fucking powerful. I'm just a sneaky little bitch.
And I think, and I don't know this 100%, but I think this is like a good retrospective into Tolkien. Like that's literally how the war is. Like you're comfortable at home and you get drafted, and then you get a
I
little
mean, that
part
is
that
actually
you
what
weren't
happens
part
to
of.
Bilbo. He gets drafted
Yeah, he gets
by
drafted.
Gandalf.
He has to sign a contract and everything. Like you're probably gonna die, but if you don't, you might get some money.
Think about the fucking
Crazy.
stories you'll be able to tell your little other Hobbit friends.
Exactly. So Bilbo, he ends up joining the party. Every single one of the dwarfs has instruments too, which was shocking. They all sing. There's a lot of singing in this
There's a
book.
lot of singing.
It's fine. I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me at all. It's not like they're like pages and pages. It's just like a little blurb. I'm like, yeah, okay.
The next chapter is their like adventuring, and it's interesting because everything pretty much west of the Misty Mountains is pretty chill, except for one encounter they have with the trolls. And this is a really famous portion of the story where everyone gets kidnapped by the trolls. Um, and in the movie, I thought it was really great because Bilbo basically talks the trolls into like a longevity time kind of thing.
Yeah.
Uh, and their conversation gets drawn out and they're arguing, and then Gandalf shows up and the sun appears. In the book, Gandalf uses whisper magic
Yep.
to impersonate the other trolls into arguing, and then the sun appears. So I don't think that was as good. I like how they used Bilbo in the movies.
Yeah. I do. Also, apparently trolls invented soccer.
Stalker.
Yeah. Talked about them playing soccer at one point. And also, golf was invented in this book too.
Yes. Makes reference to soccer, makes reference to golf. Like these sports exist in this universe weirdly.
Yeah.
Make the
Like,
same
sure.
thing.
Whatever, I guess. I mean, I'll take it.
I mean, say what you will about Harry Potter, at least J.K. Rowling invented her own sport, as dumb as it is.
Hey, man, it's a real sport. Ball stay as a team.
Oh, I'm sure
Or
they do.
did.
So yeah, they get taken by trolls. Um, they lose all their food basically. And that's pretty much it. They beat the trolls. The trolls turn to stone. That's
Yep,
their
and they
first.
found some cool elven weapons.
Oh yeah, they found elven weapons. It's not explained at first that the elven swords glow blue when they're near goblins. As a matter of fact, it's I feel like maybe there was some retconning done with that. If the weapons do glow blue, because when they first get into the goblin mine, it talks about how Gandalf enchanted the weapons to glow blue if orcs are near.
Yeah,
And then
my
later,
book actually has like a little blurb like before you read it saying that like there's been so many different iterations of the Hobbit and like things have changed
mm,
that you know what you're reading now like may have been different from a different book.
that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, the next chapter we're on to is a short rest. So this is so different. This is just drastically different from anything in the movies because they make it to Rivendell. And this is where one of the first like big conflicts gets introduced in the movies that the dwarves hate the elves. That is not the case in the books. Especially the Rivendell elves. Like they don't care. They're
No.
fine with chilling with Elrond. They stay there for a few weeks, even, I think.
Yeah.
The weird part is elves are not the serious, dour, like the world's ending stoic people
Yeah,
that's
they're not like
depicted
we're
in
going
fame.
extinct or anything. They're like, yo, let's get like fucking wasted.
Yeah, and they're singing all the time, but when they sing, like they're not just like singing, they're like making fun of people. Like they're roasting the
Yep.
dwarves while singing about how long and stupid their beards are. Like it's so different. And I'm so interested to see because I know for a fact that like there's so many fantasy cultural things that exist today because of Lord of the Rings. But I think that a lot of them came more out of the movies because
In the movies, wasn't Legolas there?
Legolas comes later on in Mirkwood,
Okay.
not at Rivendell
Gotcha.
in the movies.
I don't think he's in the book.
I don't think Legolas is in the book at all. But you have like the elements of like elves in general just being like very serious people. You see that in all kinds of fantasy
Yeah.
elements now. Like they're very serious, very powerful,
Yeah, they're always oppressed.
always.
Like, why can't
And,
we have happy elves?
and we do in Tolkien. I think that's what
Yeah.
Tolkien envisioned. And then we kind of took a different turn on the fantasy element for it. Yeah. Same thing with dwarfs. Like dwarfs are now all Scottish. I don't think the dwarfs were intended to be Scottish in in the book. I think that was probably an adaptation thing with Gimli. I literally think Gimli's character made dwarfs Scottish.
Yeah, probably.
So they spend some time in Riverrun. Elrond helps them with the map. Everything's cool. Like it's a super easy, super quick chapter. Everyone's happy. He gives them a bunch of food, gives them some horses. And he's like, hey, like good
Ponies.
luck. Ponies, that's
They're
true.
they're too small for horses.
Yes. The next one we run into is Overhill and Underhill. So this is when they have their run in with the goblins in the mountain.
Oh yeah, this is where they found the cave, right?
Yeah. And again, like you get kind of a repeat of the troll scenario where like they get attacked, Gandalf disappears in the beginning.
Yeah, Gandalf just always disappears in this book.
Yeah.
And like the explanation of it's also just so lame. He's like, "Oh, I heard Bilbo yell," and I was like, "Oh shit, goblin."
Gotta get out of here. He disappeared with lightning. He killed a bunch of goblins with lightning. Don't know why he's just not like doing that
More
ever
often.
all the time. Um, in the movies, Thorin grabs the sword and kills the Goblin King. In the books, Gandalf just shows up, shit goes dark, and then Boom, lights are back on. Goblin King's dead.
There's
They're
like a
all
big like tunnel of fire.
yeah. They're all really scared of the sword. Um, there's a moment when it first describes goblins, like probably one of my favorite lines is it talks about how like goblins don't create anything beautiful, is what it said.
Yeah.
And they will enslave people to create things for them, or they're very good at creating like weapons of mass destruction. And it talks about that they invented a lot of weapons that are good for killing mass people, like large amounts of people. It's very obvious to like me that like the goblins represent like not just the Germans, but like the war complex and the people who are building these like war machines to easily kill their opponents, right? The machine gun inventors, like that's what the goblins are supposed to represent. But it's kind of crazy thinking that this was written prior to World War II. And when it talks about killing mass people, right? Like
Yeah.
literally the Germans inventing methods of mass exterminating Jewish people. So it's pretty crazy to see like the goblins continuing to come from uh, the things that occur even today from warfare and all
Yeah.
of the mass production of weapons and trying to make it better for to kill more and more people. So
Yeah. But the cool thing about this chapter too, and the goblin stuff is when they escape the goblin clutches and Bilbo gets a concussion.
it's knocked out.
Yeah, because they're running away from because there's so many fucking goblins that they're just trying to like run away and escape after Gandalf shows up at this fire tower. And
Yeah.
he Bilbo is just like on one of these dwarves' backs being carried along, which I cannot it cracks me up like imagining like a dwarf and then just a hobbit on his back.
Yeah,
They're just running from goblins.
Gandalf was probably laughing his ass off as he's running. This is exactly why I did
I
this.
can't believe he's still fucking here.
This is hilarious. We gave that guy a sword.
Not even, it's like a knife.
Yeah, pretty much. But he
But
does. He gets knocked out and he winds up, at the bottom of this crevice in the cave, and that's when the next chapter starts, which is Riddles in the Dark. Now, this is 100% exactly like it is in the movie.
I can't remember how it was in the movie.
Yeah, he meets Gollum. They kind of go back and forth on these various different riddles, and whoever wins, either Gollum eats him or Gollum shows him the way out. And this is where Bilbo finds the Ring of Power.
Yeah,
Um,
it kind of is crazy to me like how different like the Ring of Power is between the Hobbit to like the Lord of the Rings, because like the Lord of the Rings, like you put on the ring and like shit kind of goes crazy for you.
yeah,
But Sauron's not around yet, I guess. But it's just weird how different the ring changes. What's
yeah.
the
I
time
think
span between the Hobbit and Fellowship of the Ring?
I don't know. I think not even open it. Um, I'm also wondering too, like how far in advance he planned it, because one of the lines that we talked about in the beginning happens here, where he's like, "This was a huge turning point in Bilbo's life, but he didn't quite know it yet."
Yeah,
I'm like, did he know or plan to write like Lord of the Rings? Did he have like a good idea for what that looks like at the time of writing The Hobbit?
but I mean, is Bilbo even in the Fellowship?
I mean, Bilbo is not in the actual Fellowship itself, but he's in the book.
Okay.
He's he's he is Frodo's uncle, I want to say. Let me see if it tells me the date here in the beginning, like everything else does. Um, doesn't say. 1950, 49. Nope.
Hmm.
The Hobbit was written and published in 1937. Went on at intervals during the years 1936 to 1949. That doesn't make any sense.
Maybe it wasn't like one like complete piece.
Yeah, I think he had to release it in 3 pieces.
Fascinating. But yeah, we get the whole thing with Gollum, and Gollum's creepy, man.
It was a very creepy chapter.
It
Like
was such like a tone shift. Like really, this whole chapter is a big tone shift with the goblins and like how fucked up that they sound, and then you have Golem who's just like, man, like all I want is my fucking precious, and I'm gonna eat this dude. Sometimes like the goblins.
it goes like pretty deep into other dark stuff too, like how it's like he winds out in the mountain and it's like, oh, there's like really fucked up stuff in the mountain. Like everything's dark and there's these evil creatures. And Gollum appears and he's like this evil creature and talks about how he used to be not an evil creature and then he slowly became this evil being. And it's very creepy. Like it's a very creepy chapter.
Yeah,
He did a very good job with this. I think if he wanted to make Gollum, I mean, Gollum appears more creepy, I think, in the books.
yeah,
I don't know. He's pretty creepy in the movies too. I don't know.
yeah. The voice and like the in the movies are so good though.
Yeah, yeah. I can't remember the guy who did it. And was it Andy?
You could tell me any name and I'll believe you.
I can't remember his last name, but
Leonardo DiCaprio.
I can't
Denzel
think
Washington.
um,
Samuel L. Jackson. My precious motherfucker.
that would have been great. I'd love to see that.
All right, I need a new Golem.
It's like that actually might be like one of the best answers now for like one actor change in a movie that would really change everything else.
Motherfucker, where's my precious?
That would have been great. Bilbo and Gollum go back and forth. Bilbo wins because he asks what's in my pocket, and he has the ring in his pocket, and Gollum doesn't really guess that because that's a really shitty riddle. So Gollum tries to kill Bilbo. Bilbo escapes by putting on the ring. And there's this whole conversation outside the cave about how, like, well, maybe we should leave him. He's not been very useful.
Which fair.
Yeah. But Gandalf is like, what are you talking about? Dude's so useful.
He's the hottest.
We need this guy around. Trust me. Like, he's my comedy relief. Let's bring this dude back in the fold.
He's going to blow your guys' mind. Don't you worry. He's like, dude, I can't fuck. I swear to God, I hope you go back in there.
Wait, Gandalf, we have to go back in and fight thousands of goblins to save this hobbit? And Gandalf's like, oh, yeah.
You don't understand how fucking funny this shit is.
Yeah, real quick, let me get my camera. Bofer, you go first. But in the movies, there's like a lot of tension at this point with Thorin and Bilbo because Thorin is like really on the fact that like, no, Bilbo's fucking useless and he shouldn't be here. He needs to go back to his nice home. It's not that extreme in the book. It's more so like we don't really want to go fight 1,000 goblins because Bilbo's not really worth it.
Yeah, we got shit to go do, and fucking with these goblins ain't fun.
Like he signed a contract, like he knew it was up.
Yeah, pretty much. And then you have Bilbo like hearing this and it's like, oh yeah, well, I'm gonna make you guys shit your pants. And
Yeah.
he's wearing the ring and it's all invisible, like Conrad Kurz in it, walking up on there. Not Conrad Kurz, fucking shit.
Corvus Corax? Are
Yeah,
you
he's
comparing
Corvus
ring
Corax
bearers to
sneaking in
Corvus
there.
Corax?
Everyone's staring at him. It's like, hey, I'm gonna take off this ring. Watch this.
Maybe Corvus Corax just has a ring of power.
We've solved the mystery.
That's what's going on. Corvus Corax just broke into another dimension through the warp and defeated Sauron because they have guns.
No, he defeated Bilbo Baggins. How do I
That's it.
defeat this thing?
That's,
You want some more rice cake?
that's a nice ring you got there. I got it through riddles. Have you ever?
Well, he found it before the riddles. He was just like outside the cave. He's like, "Oh shit, what's this thing?" I put you in my pocket.
How about you tell me what I got in my pocket? Pulls out a bolt gun.
Bang bang, motherfucker.
Jeez. He's really just on there to hunt the runaway psyker that is Gandalf. This dude's been smoking weed and acting like a wizard in this dimension for years. So, yeah, Bilbo surprises the party, and at that point forward, they're all like, "Yeah, Bilbo's a thief." Bilbo
This all makes sense now.
yeah. Um. All right, what comes after that? Oh, the this is the wolves, right, and the eagles.
Yep.
So this is kind of an interesting chapter. I feel like.
Yeah, so like the wolves actually team up with goblins sometimes. And they just happen to be chilling out in the wolves fucking conference room.
Yeah, so this is like a huge difference. Like in the movies, it makes a little bit of sense because the goblins just like ride wolves.
Yeah.
Sure,
Yeah,
I
why
can
not?
get behind that. Makes sense to me. In this book, the wolves are like, we're a wolf nation, and we have a
We are
wolf.
people. We have rights.
They communicate with each other through like talking. It's not howling. Like Gandalf understands. They're like, yeah. It's getting real sexual over there, guys. You don't want to know what they're talking about.
They want to do some weird things with that Hobbit, and I hope it happens, guys. This shit's gold.
Let me get my camera. So the wolves are like with their wolf nation. They're like, we sometimes team up with the Goblin Nation and like fuck some shit up together. Like they are two complete separate entities. The wolves have like their own army form of government, and Gandalf burns the lead wolf's nose, which was a big no-no. Now the wolves hate Gandalf. So they're hiding in trees. The wolves are encircling them. The goblins come down. They're like, dudes, what's up? It's so good to see you. Are you okay if I ride you today?
I also want to kill and fuck the Hobbit. And Gandalf's like, yes.
Let's light this shit on fire. They light some stuff on fire around the base of the tree. And then
The
eagles come.
best part too, Bilbo couldn't even climb a tree by himself. One of the dwarves had to get off his tree, like, God damn it, why do I have to sacrifice myself for this stupid hobbit? And Gandalf's like at the top of a tree, like, you better save the hobbit.
The only one that can make it to the top. He's got his camera going. Yeah, jump higher. He's gonna post that video on YouTube later. Hobbit tries to make it to tree before Wolf comes. So then the eagles show up.
And they're just like, oh shit, it's Gandalf. All
Yeah,
right.
the eagles are like, hey, we also have a king in their group. Every
The
animal
lead
in the
eagle.
kingdom has a society in which they also talk to each other and they have their own rights and government, but they're separate. So the eagles come, they pick up the dwarfs. Again, at this point in the movies, the pale orc is the one riding the wargs. The wargs aren't talking to each other, but he's riding the wargs and fighting them in the trees. The eagles do come. And there's this whole question. Now, I've always wondered this question. I've Googled it a couple times, and I don't think the answer was a good answer. It was not a good answer. The question was, hey, if the eagles exist and Gandalf is cool with the eagles, why don't they just ride the eagles to the Lonely Mountain? Or why didn't they just ride the eagles into Mordor? And the reason that is because Gandalf is just like kind of tight with the main eagle dude, who's the king of eagles. because he saved him from a bow and arrow. And the main eagle dude's like, hey, like, I'll help you out, but I've got an eagle kingdom to watch out for. And the eagles oftentimes get attacked by humans. So if I fly you all the way there, the humans will kill me because I eat their sheep. It's what I do. I'm an eagle.
That and like, if an eagle versus a dragon,
Yeah.
I also would not fly them there. But yeah, you know what? Go fuck yourself.
Yeah. And like, it
You already
turns
got the Hobbit. All right, you're not getting the eagle too.
yeah, it turns out the eagles and humans like aren't simpatico, and that makes a lot of sense. Like that makes sense to me. It's like we can't really fly to castles because they'll fucking kill us, but we'll show up during battles and fight the battles for them. And they're like, "That's great. Don't take my sheep though. Thanks for saving my life." And this is another example too. Like at the end of this chapter, it's like, oh, and then the eagles go later on in the story and get a bunch of gold. And then the eagle kingdom becomes the bird kingdom, and the eagle king becomes the king of birds. So they consolidate several governments into one ruling government.
Yes.
The cardinals are not happy that their
Fuck
kingdom was consolidated into the eagle kingdom.
them. All the pigeons are like, damn it.
We don't have representation in parliament. Bird parliament.
I
So they
feel
get
like,
out of the Eagles, and then they head to. I think this is probably my favorite chapter so
yeah, I
far.
think this is actually maybe where we should stop because I feel like the Bjor stuff is gonna take a while to talk about because I think this was like he's just a very interesting character.
Yes, and it's my favorite chapter. The way Gandalf handles all this, very
Yeah, I
funny.
think it's mine too.
Yeah,
But I think this is a good stopping point. Um, especially since this isn't a long book.
yeah, yeah. Only we've got about 12 chapters left to get through, but we'll get through them a lot quicker.
Yeah, I mean, once things kind of like pick up, like we can probably consolidate some of the dragon stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
But Bjor, I feel like it's gonna be a decently long conversation because he's just a badass.
Yeah, he's real cool.
So yeah, guys, this is season 2. This is The Hobbit,
Episode 1.
episode 1. Oh, I didn't even do like all of our like socials and stuff. Guys, we are on X at Heresy Lodge. I never use it, but we have it. The best thing about it is our Discord is pinned to it. So check that out at Heresy Lodge. Join the Discord. We have a weekly movie night. We have a monthly book club. We are starting Red Rising. Haven't started it yet, but I do have the audiobook from a coworker. He sent it to me. So we'll check that out. If you are into Warhammer, there's some like hobby time. People share, like what they're building and painting and stuff like that as well. All kinds of conversations. Things are also weird sometimes, so that's just how things are. Check us out. You can email us at theheresylodge@gmail.com. We have merch. I'm still waiting to get the background removed from our image so I can create the merch for our new logo, which you will see on everything. I'm going to update it on our repository. That's
Yeah,
not the right word, but it might be the
yeah,
right. I don't know. It's going to be updated everywhere. It's really fucking cool. I like it a lot. I just threw my light at myself.
oh, okay.
But guys, we'll be back next week to finish The Hobbit. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the new show. And we'll see you next time. Any final parting words, Gavin? Oh, enjoy your solar eclipse. The world's probably going to end. This might be your first and only episode of the Heresy
This is
Lodge.
it. It's the only one you get to watch. It's just the first half of The Hobbit. As far
God
as
fucking bless. If only we had a Hobbit with us.
good for
See you
videos.
guys.